welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Jason Dietrich, and he currently works at NASA, and he is a STEM educator down there. And more we will learn from him. Welcome to the show, Jason.
AJ, thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute honor and privilege to be here.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online form. And there is so much to learn from you. So not just in India, a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we'll be talking about. We will learn about STEM, NASA, and space with you. And right now, as I said, you are currently working with NASA. I thought, NASA is more about space and flights and all. You are talking about education. Help for the general audience. Help us understand, how is this STEM part, how is the education part connected to NASA? I'm sure a lot of people know about it, but I didn't know that so much of education work keeps on going there. So help us so that people who want to reach not only to the stars through NASA, but also about education, they can also reach the stars through this method. Help us understand this whole thing from you.
Absolutely. Well, I first love your metaphor, AJ, reach for the stars, and, we're blasting off to new heights in my line of work. So just to tell all of you and your viewers a little bit about NASA. NASA, for those of you that might not know, stands for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. And I am primarily responsible for working at Virginia Space Flight Academy, which is associated with NASA. Primarily, it is associated with the Goddard Space Center. And I'm from the United States, and Virginia Space Flight Academy is associated in Virginia on Wallops Island. And we actually hosted a space adventure camp for 6 weeks this past summer. It was an absolute life-changing experience where the campers not only learned about coding, drones, rocketry, and robotics, but they also had the opportunity to go on tours of many of our different aerospace partners. Now, some of you might be thinking that, NASA is just strictly for, engineers, aerospace, and, many different kinds of engineers. That's not necessarily the case. NASA, it's made up of not only just engineers, but it's made up of educators like myself. It is also made up of secretaries who do some great work in terms of promotion with NASA. But primarily for my role, what I'm responsible for in the education sector is I promote STEM curriculum to K through 12 students and also teachers. And primarily what I'm also responsible for doing is helping to revolutionize all of the state standards. So that way we can blast all of our students off to new heights and inspire the next generation to pursue STEM.
Right, Jason. I thought there must be some special education body like they have in several countries. Even in India, we have a different ministry altogether for this, and the space is totally different. How does the STEM part and NASA part come together? How are they able to integrate both the things? I thought STEM is more about science, technology, engineering, and math, and that is much more related to the classrooms and how you can better all of this. And where did NASA come into between? Was it from very early on? What is the reason for doing all these things? Why not just be centered around on flights and all those? This is such an interesting thing, and I guess a lot of people will get more aware of this part, and even a lot of people from the education sector will understand it and try to imbibe the good things that you people are doing there in terms of STEM.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, that's a wonderful question, AJ. And it all goes back to a very popular quote that I remember former President John F. Kennedy said. about the space race. He was primarily the one who said that we shall go to the moon, not because it's easy, but because it is hard. And, that quote really sticks with me because, we are here in NASA, regardless of what sort of career that you are doing. We are here because we are here to challenge the next generation to solve some of the most complex problems and initiatives. There's this real big push about, going to Mars and beyond. And in relation to NASA, there's many other different organizations that are, doing the same exact thing here in the United States. We have SpaceX, we have Blue Origin, and, so much more that are really helping to inspire the next generation to go up, into space. But it all comes down to, AJ, if you want to work at NASA, it doesn't matter what sort of education background that you have. I met a aerospace engineer who works at Rocket Lab, which is one of Virginia Space Flight Academy's partners, and he was self-taught. He doesn't even have a college degree, but he learned aerospace engineering all through the computer and all through YouTube. So you can do that as well. So it doesn't matter what sort of education background that you have, whether you have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or a doctorate, it doesn't matter. But each and every single one of us have a very creative aspect. You have to be creative. You have to, be able to dream big and reach for the stars, because once you do that, then you're going to be able to, inspire and motivate others to pursue other great STEM initiatives.
Absolutely, absolutely, Jason. So you are working to increase diversity, equity, and inclusive DEI in STEM. How does that work? Sitting there, you sit in the NASA campus.
Yeah, well, actually, I am currently I'm working remotely right now. The summer camp it ended a couple weeks ago, but I am currently back home here in Pennsylvania. But I still, maintain connections with STEM educators. Not just in the state of PA, but around the U.S. Yeah.
Okay, okay, and how do you? Why do you want to bring diversity, equity, and inclusion in STEM? This is much more of a debate in the working, in the workplaces. More of that, and you people again here you are doing a lot of the work that should be talked in our workplace. I want to understand, bit curious to understand all this aspect of new things that we are coming to know about NASA. For you, it is a normal thing, but for an outsider, this is a great thing that is actually impacting the future generation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, AJ, just to share like a quick little story about myself and why, I value increasing diversity, equity, and inclusion, and even opportunity in STEM, particularly with NASA. But the reason was when I was 5 years old, I was diagnosed with hyperlexia, which is a form of autism. And I struggled with reading comprehension early on in my educational journey. And I remember my teachers early on in my elementary school career were not very supportive of my skill sets and abilities. I had teachers who unfortunately never showed the time nor the effort that I needed in order to thrive both personally, academically, and even mentally in the classroom. So as a result, I often struggled a lot in elementary school. But once I got to middle school, however, I was introduced to the important concepts of STEM education, particularly astronomy, space science, earth science, and also a little bit of chemistry as well. And once I was introduced to those important concepts, I was hooked. Because I realized, AJ, that STEM education provides multiple different highways of opportunity that you can't even begin to imagine. And it's all hands-on. I primarily am someone who benefits from hands-on learning and hands-on activities. And that's what STEM education does. And that's what we do at NASA as well, because the traditional style of lecture and rote memorization that we did in schools, 40, 50, 60 years ago, that doesn't work anymore. Our technology has expanded immensely over the last, several decades. And especially with the COVID pandemic, as stressful as it has been for everybody these last couple of years, we got to see, a lot of innovation come through in all of the different technologies that we have had. So primarily what I want to inspire, and with all of you viewers listening, is that if you have a disability like myself, that doesn't mean that you can't work at NASA. I mean, look at me. I never once thought in my lifetime that I would get the opportunity to work at NASA. And I don't have like a disability, AJ. This is negative. Society's overall perception of hyperlexia or like any other disability, that needs to change. So we have to look at it through a positive lens, and that's what we do at NASA.
Wonderful, wonderful, Jason. And it's very nice to talk to you. And there is so much to talk to you. It's so nice you have authored a NASA application designed to identify hidden barriers to STEM management. That's a great thing. Now, help us understand about firstly hidden barriers. What do you mean? Who is raising barriers in STEM management? Is it people? Is it somewhere else? I want to understand that. And how did you think of this application? What is this application about? A lot of people would want to know about this.
Absolutely. That's a wonderful question, AJ. So in terms of the STEM app that you are talking about, what I actually did was I thought of an idea in relation to presenting a video game module for STEM students. Now, what we primarily do, since I'm associated with Virginia Spaceflight Academy, is we work with low-income students. A lot of the campers that we saw this summer came from a lot of different backgrounds all along the East Coast and also in 25 states in the United States, which is incredible. But what happened was a lot of them, they came from low-income areas. But what I did was I thought of an idea, and I actually co-collaborated with another NASA STEM engagement specialist on a video game design module. It's entitled Game On! And primarily what that is it's through a platform known as Bloxels. And Bloxels is a very popular educational tool that has been used among many educators for, many years. So, and it's a very cool tool. But what we primarily did through my collaboration with my NASA STEM engagement specialist was we offered it in our STEM Academy. Not only does Virginia Spaceflight Academy offer a space adventure camp during the summer, but we also offer a year-round STEM Academy. So what happened was we offered this Game On module for our students. And again, it doesn't just target low-income students. It targets, students all across, the United States and the world who are interested in, video game design. Again, it's a very creative aspect that we would like to do. And what we did was we actually taught students the concepts of creating their own video games. So in relation to identifying, barriers in relation to STEM engagement, primarily the barriers that are involved, especially in the United States, are the state standards. There's not a whole lot of room for creativity. There's a lot of testing that is going on that just isn't measuring true student growth and knowledge. So I'm trying to revolutionize that. So through the use of this Game On module, the students, as we say, on our Virginia Spaceflight Academy website, don't just play games, make them. And the students loved it.
Absolutely, absolutely. You have put it very well. Now, let me ask you a few things for the students, so that anyone who is listening or who will be watching today, tomorrow, whenever it is possible, they understand from you about what we'll be talking about. A lot of people have different questions about the way we are moving forward as mankind, as a species. In terms of, let's first talk about curiosity. A lot of people, and curiosity is in Mars at the moment.
Yes.
So a lot of people nowadays, find that the world does not seem to like a lot of curiosity. There is a lot of conformity everywhere, and we have also read a lot of times now that curiosity killed a cat. Perhaps people sometimes take it seriously, without knowing. What would you like to tell people about curiosity? How to remain curious in these times, when there are so much of distractions like phones, distractions in terms of thinking about, about how to make a difference, how to do that. So help us understand, not through this medium, to all the students who might be listening to this later on today, how should they look at curiosity itself, not something that is there in Mars, but something which is within them.
Absolutely. That's a wonderful question, AJ. So, as you mentioned, there's a lot of things, with social media, there's a lot of distractions that, have been going on, over the last couple of years, especially with, the COVID-19 pandemic. And, AJ, I look at it this way. If you have something that comes inside of your head, all right, this is something that's very important, especially for your viewers. Albert Einstein once said that imagination is everything. It is the key to life's coming attractions. All right. So if you think about that, that's a pretty powerful statement, because any aspect that is primarily given to you inside of your imagination, that, believe it or not, is associated with God. And he inputs things in your imagination because those are his plans that he has for you. And in relation to that, he wants you to be able to dream big. He wants you to push the limits so that way you can live the life of your dreams. But the biggest thing that I actually did, especially since I have, hyperlexia, was whenever I thought of an idea or an imagination, I often spent time by myself. Because a lot of times, when you are out with your friends or especially on social media, it is very easy to get distracted with all of the aspects that are going on. And sometimes you lose touch with yourself. So primarily from my perspective, with me being able to spend time by myself, which is something I highly recommend, you really get to know yourself, you get to know your skill sets, and you get to know your abilities. And especially if you have a dream, just like I did, especially with going to NASA. But now I am someone who wants to go to the moon and Mars as well. So I'm dreaming even bigger. It doesn't stop there. But from my dreams, what you also have to do is not only spend time by yourself, but also don't really share your dreams or aspirations with, anybody, because that is specifically who you are. And it's very common to share like with your friends or something like that. You have a great idea and you often share it with them, but then they shot it down. And the reason why is because they can't see it. God didn't input it inside of their heads or their minds. He input it in yours. So you are the ones who have the control. So you guys are the captains. You are the masters. You are the ones that are primarily responsible with shaping your dreams and your imagination. And you can't let anybody dictate to you that it's not going to be successful. If somebody does, that should motivate you even more. So if you spend time alone and don't really share a whole lot of your career dreams and aspirations, then you're really going to get somewhere.
Absolutely, absolutely well explained, Jason. That's very nice. I loved it, and I'm sure a lot of people will understand curiosity better through you. Now, a lot of emphasis on STEM is on, this emphasis is on innovation, problem solving, and critical thinking. All these things need, different aspects to be understood well, and that needs something called perseverance to learn. Perseverance again is in Mars. I want to understand from you how much is that on the ground left in terms of, because a lot of people need to, for innovation, problem solving, and critical thinking, you need to think and work for it. The world is moving, even you see AI has come in. So everything is coming in very fast. You just input it and it will come out in some time, that ease of everything will is taking away, that sense of working towards something. And maybe the danger I see is that it takes away all the persevering capabilities as a human. How do you want to explain how to live with the times, but at the same time do not forget about this human thing and very strong thing that is perseverance, so that perseverance does not remain only in Mars, that it exists continue to exist on the ground?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a wonderful question there, AJ, as well. So the big primary thing is that, you know, whenever you have a dream, a goal, or an aspiration that again is in your imagination and you have control over it, it's not an easy path to get there. So you have to realize that, and everybody has to understand that. You know, life in general is no straight path. I mean, you don't go from point A, you know, to point B in a straight line. So a lot of times, what you know people do is it goes in zigzags in order to get to where you need to go. And believe it or not, you know, AJ, especially from my experiences, you know, as a teacher, as a STEM educator at first, you know, in the public schools, even though I didn't necessarily enjoy the restrictions that there were in the public schools, especially with the testing and the state standards, it allowed me to see, you know, what I actually wanted to be. And it allowed me to best figure out, you know, what my career path was and is. God is guiding you. And, you know, sometimes he gives you some opportunities and experiences so that way it can shape you to then be able to pursue your dreams and aspirations. So, in relation to that, I can't even tell you in terms of when I finally, you know, got to where I am at NASA today. I went in, you know, so many different like paths and zigzags. I worked in business a little bit once I left teaching just to see if I could potentially enjoy that and prosper with that. I didn't see any path or direction there, but it took some time. But the fact that I'm here now at NASA is, you know, it's such a dream come true. You're going to get knocked down, you know, and you know there's going to be struggle, and sometimes, you know, God might not answer you, but what you need to do is you need to trust him and you need to trust his guidance. Why do you think that he put that thought or idea into your imagination? Because again, those are the plans that he has for you. And he wants you to be able to persevere, and he puts you up at these challenges so that way you are ready to receive that dream. So the fact of the matter is that, you know, once I got all of my teaching experiences, I was ready to receive the dream of working at NASA. I wasn't quite ready yet, you know, 3 or 4 years ago, but I needed the experience and I needed the opportunity. And look where it's left now. So I'm living the dream, and it's very important that you're ready. And it was a blessing that I waited a couple of years before I got my dream, because if you receive it too early and you're not prepared, then that's not really a blessing. So, but that's all, you know, in God's plan. He has a wonderful plan for you, but he will have you go through challenges that, you know, are going to be difficult, but you have to trust him and just ask him to give you strength and to keep going. And trust me, it works.
Absolutely, absolutely, Jason. And now let's come to, about everybody wants to get to that flight of success. But the difficult part is that you again there are certain capabilities required, attributes required for such a thing, and that is where I come to this word called ingenuity. Ingenuity is taking flights down there at Mars. In terms of ingenuity in individuals, especially in students, in a time where everything is again very quick and there are very less opportunities to be yourself, because it's like online you have to do something, so people are doing the same way because this is the way to success. It's like the beaten path, and people think that okay, beaten path or whatever, but this is the path to success. What would you like to tell students across the world in terms of being real, being authentic, have great ideas which are real ideas which can actually take the real flight towards success and does not remain a flight of fancy?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in relation to that, you know, in relation to like creativity and ingenuity, like you said, and in terms of, you know, being inventive, what you can do is again, if you can think it, you know, you can apply it and you can do it. So what I encourage all of your viewers that are listening, and especially students who are listening as well, is if you have an idea, give it a try, go for it. Don't wait for the right time. Okay. Life is short. So, and I'm not trying to scare anybody, but you're here on this earth, for a reason. So what you need to do is you got to get started and you got to get to work, right away. Now, sometimes, with an idea, it might need to be verified, over time. For example, you might think of a wonderful idea in relation to, for example, when I worked with my other NASA STEM engagement specialist on the Game On module, we were thinking of ways of expanding it even further. We gave it a trial run this past spring, and we're actually going to do it again this fall, which I'm very excited for. But we were thinking of ways of, making it even better. And one of the ways we thought of making it better was actually inviting some guest presenters who are video game designers. So that way, then all of our students that are in our Game On module can see and understand, what you can actually do for a living. So you're not always going to think of 100%. You're not going to be able to figure out all of the main details of a particular idea. And that's one of the many benefits, like I said, with STEM engagement and STEM education. You get to act like a scientist. It involves a lot of trial and error. You have to come up with your hypothesis statement, which is an educated guess. And then once you go through the experiment and you analyze your results, and if it doesn't quite work out, you have to repeat it and try again. So again, that's the benefit of, being a scientist, because you get to do those cool opportunities. So what I definitely say to all of your viewers is that if you try an idea and if something doesn't work, that's okay. That's not the end of the world. You just have to get up. You just have to reevaluate, and you just have to keep trying. And then also find other like-minded people. This is something that's key too. You also have to find other like-minded people who are going to be very supportive of you, your skill sets, and your abilities. You don't want to be with someone who's, going to just shoot down your dreams or, just try to be negative with you. That's someone who's toxic, and that is someone you don't want to be associated with. So if you are with like-minded people who also believe in you, then that's really going to make a difference and impact.
Right, Jason. Right now, you are a camp director for 2023 Space Adventure Camp at Virginia Space Flight Academy. What is this camp about, and how can people get to this camp? So that this year I think it's over, or maybe in the next year. Generally, how can people? Is it only for the U.S. people, or is it for people from across the globe?
Yeah, that's a great question, AJ. So yes, in relation to my role, I was the camp director. I was also the operations manager for this summer for Virginia Space Flight Academy. And I also was a camp counselor for our red team. So we have two different teams, our red team and our blue team. So I pretty much did everything with our team, and it was a huge success. So what you and your viewers can do who are listening is if anybody is interested in Virginia Space Flight Academy, first of all, it is open to anybody who is a U.S. citizen, and it is also open to any student who's international. Now, if you're international, you do have to go through a little bit more of a process in order to get approved, but that doesn't mean that you can't explore and, look into something like this. But what you all can do is if interested, you can go to, and I can send you this link as well, AJ. You can go to www.vasfa.org. All right. So it's www.vasfa.org, and it will take you to the Virginia Space Flight Academy webpage. And there are many different links that you will see on there. For example, we're dedicated to empowering all students to see themselves as future STEM leaders. That's what we're promoting. But there's also a programs tab where if you look at the programs tab at the top of the website, there's the Space Adventure Camp that you'll be able to see. And if you click on it, you'll be able to see, when the registration and the wait lists are available. They're closed right now because camp is not in session at the moment. But then you'll be able to see, what it is that we do and, what kinds of curriculum that we go through. Again, we do coding, rocketry, robotics, and also drones. We have 4 weeks of our base camp. And then we also have 2 separate weeks of our advanced camps. Our week 5 advanced camp is rocketry, and our week 6 advanced camp is coding and robotics, which is super cool. So, and our advanced camps are primarily for individuals who have had experience in rocketry and robotics as well. So, but that is definitely something that you can do. And in terms of registration for the camp, that I believe registration is going to open in January of 2024. And believe it or not, it sells out pretty quickly. So after 24 hours for 2023, the space camp was 75% sold out. So it's very important that if you see a weak spot that you are interested in, you got to get it right away. It's the experience of a lifetime. And, you know, you're really going to benefit from it. In fact, some of our students this past summer, AJ, got to see a rocket launch live in person. That was beyond cool. It was the Antares rocket launch. For those of you that might have seen that, that was insanely cool. And I was glad that it was a go. And I actually cried because it was a huge dream of mine. We also got recognition from the governor of Virginia and our first lady with the Spirit of Virginia Award. So we are climbing. We are making a huge impact and difference. So that is definitely something that you can do. And then also, too, if you're not interested in the Space Adventure Camp, that's okay as well. There is a STEM Academy tab where you can also click on, and you'll be able to see all of the live and on-demand sessions that we offer. And again, there's many different opportunities that you can get involved with throughout the year as well. So, and again, AJ, like I said before, we're trying to make STEM accessible to everybody and anybody who is interested. And we also ask as well, you know, since it is our 25th year anniversary, we also ask for donations. We have many great partners who are willing to give scholarships to the Space Adventure Camp recipients. We had, I believe, 20 or 25 camp recipient scholarships for this past summer who actually got to go to camp for a week for free because of scholarships and academic merit. So if you're not able to afford it, there's opportunities for you to get a scholarship as well, which is super cool. So those are all the cool opportunities that you can do at, you know, Virginia Space Flight Academy. And you can also explore that website as well, which I can certainly provide for you, AJ. But that definitely outlines what we do.
Absolutely, absolutely. There is much to, learn from you, understand from you. There is, it is all so much to understand. So what is the best way people can learn from you, Jason? And also, what's the best way for them to connect with you so that they can, know things faster through you?
Absolutely. Well, I'm very happy to, first of all, provide my email to you, AJ. So if anybody were interested in reaching out and learning more about my story and my experiences, and also how to get to work at NASA, my email for Virginia Space Flight Academy is camp, C-A-M-P, it is all lowercase, at vasfa.org. So again, it's camp at vasfa.org. So that is definitely something that I can provide. I'm more than willing to mentor any students, who are interested, who are listening to this broadcast in terms of getting you into NASA, which would be absolutely incredible. And also, too, I'm the type of person that, like I said, likes to dream big and doesn't give up. So you got to have that mindset, and you got to be willing to, reach for the stars and even beyond that. So, and that's what we're doing, here at NASA. So if anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate, to reach out. I'm more than happy to talk with you as well about Virginia Space Flight Academy. And we're also looking for partnerships as well. If you're a school anywhere around the world that does STEM that wants to do a partnership, please let us know. We are more than willing to do like a STEM event and make it just a global impact as well. So those are a couple of opportunities that you all can do as well. But like I said, don't be afraid to reach for the stars. And also, let's make sure that we launch the next generation of youth learners to new heights. And that's what I'm excited to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. My last question to you, Jason, is, you live your life amidst so many wonderful people, aspirations, inspirations, and amongst the zeal to touch the stars, to go beyond the stars.
Mhm.
But there is a time when you uh, move beyond that and go to the streets. You see what we are today, with problems about in terms of poverty, in terms of climate change, in terms of so many things that we still as a species need to take care of. How do you deal with? We are very young, and I'm sure all these emotions go through. How do you deal with two aspects of the same day, when you at one end you talk about going to the stars, and on the other end you are seeing how things are on the ground? How do you feel at that point in time? What do you tell yourself? What do you do? How do you look at all these things?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a wonderful question, AJ. So, like you said, real life, it does, kick in when you see people that are like out on the streets, that are like homeless. There's, gun violence that is going on as well. Not just throughout the United States, but throughout the world as well. There's also a war that is going on, between Russia and Ukraine as well. Everybody has seen that as well. So primarily, my best advice, in relation to that is that, it's okay if you worry a little bit, but don't like get sucked into any of the negative aspects of what's going on in society. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to escape meeting anybody who's like mean and nasty, for example, or somebody who is homeless, or gun violence as well. We can definitely help them as best as we can, but those things are going to happen. But my best advice, to everybody is that, regardless of everything that is, happening in the world for today, don't get distracted in terms of like who you are as an individual. And if you can, what you can obviously do is with NASA, we are trying to make an impact on everybody as best as we possibly can. So, and you also have to keep in mind that, in relation to the impact that you set, you might be able to offer a wonderful idea or initiative, for a specific individual or adult, who, let's say, is homeless. But if they don't take advantage of that, that's not a reflection on you. All right. So, but you do have to realize that, regardless of, the work that you do, you're not going to be able to make an impact on everybody, but you should try to. However, what you need to do is you need to make sure that, you spend time by yourself. Don't get sucked into all of the news stories, all the negative commentary on the news, and especially on social media as well, because then that's going to get you distracted. Always remember to never forget your dream, never forget your aspirations, but also know, that will help you to define your purpose and your mission, and it will better enable you to know which group of people to help and to be able to make a global impact if you are interested.
Wonderful. On this note, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.